In this video, I'm going to show you the top 5 most common questions that Marriott asks in interviews, and I'm going to help you plan really great answers that will get you a job working in one of their hotels. So let's start with the probably most asked question, and one of the most important questions to get right, which is simply, what is your availability? And of course, they're recruiting extra staff, and they will have in mind what times they're looking for. So let's look at how you answer this question successfully, and I'll give you some ideas of things that you can say to score well on this question. So fundamentally, you want to be flexible. The more flexibility you can show, the better. You want to be open-minded. So if they're asking about certain times, you want to be trying as much as possible to be saying yes to all of those times. And ultimately, when you put all this together, what you're doing is you're showing commitment. You're showing that you take your job very seriously. The way that people do really, really, really badly on this question is when they're asked about their availability or what times they're able to work, they immediately start listing lots of times that they can't do or times that they wouldn't like to work and then say they can work all the other times. That's the wrong way to do it. Always talk about what you are available to do and not spend all the time talking about what you don't want to do. The best answers have various different aspects to them, and I'm going to give you some ideas of things that you can say that are good answers. So the first one is you can say that you're happy to work to meet the business's needs. So whatever the hotel needs in terms of staffing, you can try your best to work around that. You could say, if you're extremely flexible, that you're happy to work anytime the hotel is open. Of course, hotels are open 24/7, so that could mean working during the night. So only say that if that's something that you're happy to do. You could say that I'm happy and able to work the advertised times. So if on the job advert they're saying specific times and telling you the times that they're looking for someone to work, if you say that you're happy to work those times, you're matching up with what they've said to you they are looking for. If you're open to night shift, that is something that you can mention. If you're not open to that, don't say it. If you're happy to work overtime, of course, you'll be paid extra to do that. You may not be offered any overtime, but you can simply say that you're open to it. And in fact, they may remember that and may go to you to offer extra hours if they need someone extra. If you're usually able or happy to work at short notice, so if someone calls in sick and you're not timetabled to work at that time, but you could come in, you could mention that as something else. And you can also say at the end of your answer that you're happy to help out. So when they need people, you are someone that they can go to, and you will do your best to be available and support the company when they need staffing. So that's how you do really well on this question. So let's look at the next question, which is extremely important to prepare for, which is, what do you know about Marriott? If you go to your interview having not researched the company, you're not going to do very well. They may actually ask you, what do you know about the company? And I expect you to talk about your knowledge of the business, or throughout the interview, you can drop in your knowledge to show that you've done some research and actually make your answers even stronger. So if you are asked what you know about the company, start with the obvious facts. Start by saying the things that everybody knows to make sure that you're clear that you've got a basic grasp of the business. Then show that you've actually done some research. You know more about the company than most people. And then, to be quite impressive, drop in a few great facts. And even if you're not asked directly for your knowledge about the company, you can drop in some of these facts in your answer. So it's really, really helpful to have a great understanding of the company you're applying for. So let's run through, and I'm going to show you all of the key facts that you could take into the interview to be well prepared. So the first thing you say is that Marriott is fundamentally a hotel management company. They're involved in running hotels. Very simple, but that's what their business is. They operate, franchise, and they also license their brand. That's a list of the key operations that they do. So they're running the hotels. They are owning the brand name of Marriott and various other brands that we'll look at. And they are charging people for the right to put that on their hotel. So someone else may own the real estate, but Marriott gets paid by putting Marriott on the hotel as a signal to people that this is the Marriott brand and people know what they're getting. Or they may license their brand and let someone else build and develop the hotels, but do it under one of their brand names. So that's what their business is based around. They are multi-brand. So just because it doesn't have Marriott on the building, it might actually still be a Marriott hotel. They've got lots and lots of different brands. And I'm not going to list every single one because they've got over 30 brands now, but Ritz-Carlton, Sheraton, and Starwood are some of the key largest brands that they've got. And you should be aware of those as also being part of the Marriott family of brands. Marriott is, of course, a family-controlled company. When you look at the people that actually own and run the business, you look at the board of directors, you look at the shareholders, they are almost always named Marriott. They have a huge say and control of the business. So it is run like a family business. And it's very different joining a family-controlled business to one that doesn't have a family involvement. It was originally founded by Jay Willard and Alice Marriott. And you may have seen JW Marriott on the hotels. That brand is named after one of the two main founders. It was founded in 1927 or 1957, depending on how you look at it. If you trace it all the way back to the very, very beginnings of the Marriott Corporation, before they were even doing hotels, when they were selling root beer, it was 1927, but the actual first hotel opened in 1957. And that hotel was called the Twin Bridges Motor Hotel. And that was the very, very first hotel that was owned by the Marriott Corporation. They also have a loyalty program, and you should know about their current loyalty program, which is the Marriott Bonvoy program. And you can get points, and they can help you save money if you're a regular and loyal customer. So you want to look into and understand exactly how that scheme works. They are notable in that the Marriott family are Mormons, or they have been in the past. And most hotels in the world have a copy of the Bible there. They also provide Book of Mormon, which is their religious text. So that's an interesting fact about the company that you may want to remember. One of my top tips for success is to read the Marriott International Annual Report. That's called the 10K, and look at what their core values are. They have on the website a list of their core values, and it's a good idea to be aware of those, and that really helps you prepare. One of the key core values, and one that you want to mention, is the value that we put people first. Marriott invests in their people, and Marriott has longer tenure than most hotel companies. People tend to stay working at Marriott for longer than the industry average. So there's probably something quite positive there, and you can share in that positivity. So if you want to screenshot this, feel free, if that will help you be prepared. And then we can start looking at some other questions. So the next one is, can you tell me about your relevant work experience? For most people, this is a wasted opportunity. A lot of people just say what their jobs were, but they don't get the maximum benefit. And you don't score very well on this question unless you can really show them why your experience is going to make you really great at working at Marriott. And it doesn't just have to be hotel experience. Hotel experience is the best, but any customer service experience or any experience that you got which gives you skills that make you better at the job, they are going to be useful. So let's look at the key aspects. So they are looking for people with the right skills. They're looking for people with no big negatives, and they may explore why you left your other jobs and what your experiences were in other jobs to check and try and figure out if there's anything nasty in your previous career history that tells them perhaps to avoid you. And you want to be ready for that. And also, they would ideally want experience that is relevant to Marriott. And so you need to think about the experience you have and how it is actually relevant. It doesn't just have to be hotels. It could be anything that is related to working with customers, customer service. Any of that is good experience. And make sure that you really plan this out. So when you're asked about it, here is the process that you follow. So you start by giving your full job title. Don't just give a simple job title. Give your entire job titles, much more descriptive. Then say what your role and your responsibilities was. Don't just say the job. Actually explain what you were responsible for. And if you took on any extra responsibility, if you went on any training courses, anything like this, you can get in to make your answer stronger. I would always have a good reason for leaving that job ready, because they may ask, so why did you leave that job? And you want to have a good explanation, and you never say anything negative about a previous employer. Always focus on the positives of the new job, or some reason like moving with family or needing to move with a partner's job, these sort of things. Think about a good reason for why you moved from one job to the other, and never say anything negative about any other company. Any qualifications that you gained or any qualifications you have, now is a good time to mention it. Doing a qualification, doing a course is part of your experience, and I would also bring that up. And then always link it back to the Marriott job. So once you explain the job that you did, link it to how you're going to be better at working at Marriott. If you worked in a restaurant, you've got lots of customer service experience. You've dealt with customer complaints. You've been responsible for managing customers' expectations. You've been responsible for learning about the product offering, answering customer questions, being an expert on your company's products. That's all simple things that any customer service role would get you as experience, and you can link that back to how that matches up with working at Marriott. So key thing to be successful is link to what Marriott wants to hear. Think about if you were head of a hotel, if you were the general manager of this huge hotel, what sort of experience would you want people you are hiring? Imagine you were the hiring manager. What are you interested in your staff having? And say the things that they are looking for. And make sure you go to great lengths to demonstrate the great experience that you have. And that will help you score really well. So let's move on to the next question, which is, why do you want to work for Marriott? Obviously, they're going to be really interested in this answer. And if you don't have a good answer ready and you try and make one up on the spot, you're probably only going to come up with 2-3 sentences, and it's not going to be a very compelling and strong answer. So this is one that you definitely want to actually have bullet pointed and written out. And I would learn an answer. So write a full answer, which is at least 2 paragraphs, and learn the key points with some bullet points. And it will make such a difference. If you're asked, why do you want to work for Marriott? Why do you want to join our company here? Why do you want to work at this hotel? Anything like that. And you've got a planned answer out and you can just reel that off. It's going to be really impressive. So that's my number 1 tip for this. And then when you're planning it, there's certain things you need to get in. And I'm going to give you lots of inspiration about the sort of things that you could plan into your answer. So the first thing that's really good to think about is, what would you actually enjoy about working at Marriott hotels? If you're going to enjoy working there and you like your job, you're probably going to be better at it. And it's a good explanation for why you want to work there. It's a job I would like to do. So if you, for example, are applying for housekeeping and you love cleaning, that's something you enjoy, and you like having a beautifully tidy, well-presented room, and that's something you're passionate about, then say that. If you're working in a customer-facing role and you like solving people's problems, you like delivering a great experience, and you enjoy that appreciation that you get from the guests, that is something that you can say, improving people's experience, giving people a great holiday experience. You can talk about this. If you're applying for management, you might talk about how you love building a good, strong team and looking after your people. Anything like this is a good reason for why you would enjoy your job. Then you want to think about the desired skills. So if you're applying for a particular job, you can say that you have the skills that are required, that your personal skills match the job perfectly, so you think you'd be really good at that job, which is why you want to work here, because it's going to be something you're going to excel at. You can think about career development opportunities, link back to Marriott's core value about being really all about their people, link to that, and think about the training that you might want to have, and that maybe in 5 years' time, you're looking at how other people have progressed through the company and you believe that you will have a good career here. You may want to think about why you're applying to Marriott compared to some other chains. You may link that back to the family ownership and how that changes the culture and makes them unique. But whatever you do, make sure you're really enthusiastic. So when you're answering this, be really smiley, be really happy, be really passionate, and that's going to come across really positively. Some inspiration, some things that you might want to talk about as well is linked to the family ownership and how that makes it a different and better culture in your eyes. If you see yourself working here for a long time, you could say that you could have a long-term career here. There's lots of opportunities to grow with the business. You might say that you just love working with hotel guests. That's something you enjoy. You may know someone who works in the company, and you may link the things that they've said, and you don't have to name the person. You can say that you know someone who works here, they've suggested that you apply, and they really enjoyed their experience or enjoy working at Marriott, and they think it's a brilliant place to work, and you can share in their enthusiasm. If you really like meeting lots of new people, you can say that. That's something you're going to definitely do working in a hotel, is constantly changing, people coming and going, and you may really enjoy that. And you can also say that Marriott has a good track record of investing and developing its people, and that is something that appeals to you. So these are the key things. Definitely plan out your answer, and then you will score really well on this. And if you have a great answer, it really helps you get the job. So let's move on to the next one, which is where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Of course, on this one, I can't tell you exactly what to say, but I can show you how you can plan and think about your answer. This is not one, again, you want to make up on the spot. You actually want to think about where you want to be in 5 years. And you might be really ambitious and want to shoot up the company. That's fine. Or you might want to be absolutely amazing at your current job. And so if you want to move up, I'm going to tell you what sort of things you could talk about. And if you want to stay at the same level, that's perfectly fine. And I'm going to show you how you can actually answer it that way. And I'm also going to show you what you don't say. So firstly, these are the things to avoid. So anything that's irrelevant, people talk about buying a house, starting a family. That's not the time to talk about it. In your interview, this is not relevant to them, and the fact that you're going to buy a house will not make their business any better. The next thing that you want to avoid is an answer that doesn't involve you learning or getting better. That's a really key thing that you don't want to miss out. And then talking about quitting Marriott. So if you say in 5 years' time you want to do something completely different, and this is just a job you want to do for 5 minutes, that's not really good. The time to talk about leaving your job is not in the job interview to get that job. Talk about leaving the company in completely separate places. Don't talk about leaving in your interview. So let's say what you should actually say. So you want to have a sensible plan. So you don't want to talk about being general manager in 5 years or say anything that's going to be insulting to the person interviewing you. It might have taken them 10 years to get to the level where they are. And so don't talk about being their boss in the interview. Now, that's not the time to do it. Focus on development. So think about what you need to do to get better at your job and what you need to do if you're talking about progressing. So if you want to move up, what things do you need to do to earn that promotion? And it's always good to have a clear plan. And that doesn't have to be a long, complicated plan. It can just be 2-3 bullet points. In 5 years, I would like to be doing this. And so here's some ideas that you could talk about. So 1 level up is perfectly reasonable. If you start talking about 4 levels, it seems not sensible. If you're not wanting to move up, talk about being really outstanding in your role. You can also talk about the desire to be involved in training others. So say, for example, you got a housekeeping job, and your passion is about being really brilliant at that job, but then to advance a little bit, you want to be the go-to person. So when someone new starts, you want your manager to look at you and go, we're going to pair this new person with you. You're going to show them how to do it because you do it so well. That's your ambition in 5 years, is to be that person that people look to as the expert and someone that is brilliant at their job. And you may want to talk about gaining new skills and being that bit more upskilled. So there is how you answer the what do you see yourself doing in 5 years' time question to be successful. And finally, before we finish, I want to show you some questions that you can ask Marriott at the end of your interview. And it's very, very important to actually have some questions. If you have no questions to ask, it goes down really badly. So here are some suggestions of some good questions you can ask. And I'd suggest that you learn 1 or 2 of them and have those ready to go. And also you may want to think up your own ones as well. So here's my suggestions. So the first one you want to ask is about the next steps in the hiring process. Show that you're really interested in knowing what happens and you're really eager to get the job. And so that's why you want to know exactly what's going to happen next. The next one you could ask is about the team that they've built at Marriott and learn about the co-workers and the management that you could be working with. You may also want to show your interest in being really good at your job and that you care about being well prepared. So you could ask what you could do now to be extremely well prepared for starting if you are successful. You may also want to ask what are the characteristics of outstanding Marriott employees, so you can learn and hear what an ideal employee looks like, and you can compare yourself to that model of ideal and see how your skills and experience match up with what a perfect employee looks like. And finally, you want to make up 1 question on the day. So as they're saying things in the interview, there's something that you wonder about, just check in your head, is this an appropriate question? And if it is an appropriate question, you could ask that at the end to show that you're listening to what they're saying as well. So I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, please like and subscribe below and post in the comments the questions that Marriott asked in your interview to help everyone else out. And finally, thank you very much for watching.